The Wet Dry Recycling Program is an innovative recycling program that was introduced to the Central Business District in March of 2014. The program is quite simple. Restaurants separate their wet waste from their dry waste. The result is a higher recovery, less stuff going to the landfill. There are 5 basic places that waste is generated in a restaurant setting: in the prep area, in the front of the house where patrons dispose of this waste, in the front of the house where servers dispose of the waste, coffee and drink stations, and finally in bathrooms. Today we're going to go through these areas and talk a little bit about how items are sorted, wet versus dry, for that higher recovery rate. So one of the places we talked about would be front of house service, where servers bring back any waste that the patrons don't eat. In the back of the house or front of the house, there should be some area where employees can actually sort dry waste from wet waste. Wet waste or food goes in the brown cart. Everything else should be dry and should be able to go in the dry waste container. Utensils, of course, they'll want to wash back in the dishwashing service. Condiments that still are in wrappers, those can go into the dry waste. Paper napkins can of course go in with the food waste to be composted. The things that you're gonna find in the brown container will be anything from leftover materials from the meal, so partially eaten sandwiches, chips, fruit, garnishes. So another area that a lot of waste is generated is in the prep area. This is generally where all of the food is being prepared for the patrons. So again, the same concept applies here. We just want to make sure that we have a wet waste container and a dry waste container. And in the dry waste container will be everything from boxes that food will come packaged in before it's actually prepared, containers with more of the food prior to preparation, and of course a lot of rubber gloves. One of the questions that's often asked is, how clean do my containers have to be before I put them in the dry waste container? And basically the answer is, we don't require that everything be dumped out, rinsed out, and put in completely clean into the dry waste. What we say is, as long as that last serving is out, that residual can be left in the container before it's placed in the dry waste. Some of the common things that you're going to find in the prep area in the food waste containers are going to be actually food prep. Leftovers from some of the fruit that you would use, of course, things for salad or things for dressings for your sandwiches, meat products, bacon, bones, lots of fruits, lots of vegetables, lots of meat. That's really what you're going to find back here. So one tip that a lot of restaurants have employed is actually using a container in the prep area to keep food before they dispose of it in the larger wet waste container. So employees can keep one of these types of containers next to them in their prep area until it's full, and then they can take it to the larger, more common area that's used to collect the wet waste or food waste. So another area where waste is generated would be the front of house, where the patrons actually dispose of their own waste. In this circumstance, patrons will want to dispose of things in a container that's lined with a black bag. Right now, as part of the program, there is no regulation to have patrons separate that waste. So we will collect everything, both wet and dry together, and then sent to a landfill. So the drink station or the bar area is really the area that is open the latest and a lot of times gets forgotten about. But it is truly important that the materials that are produced in these areas are properly disposed of. It is important that there are both a dry waste container and a wet waste container present at these locations for proper separation. Items typically found in the drink station or the bar area are going to be coffee grounds, tea bags, a lot of times liquids, ice. Also, don't forget about the fruit that are used in a lot of the mixed drinks. That's something that needs to make sure to go in the wet collection. Some of the dry items can be packaging from cups, from straws, your order receipts and things like that that are coming to the bar. Of course, containers for condiments that you would use back here. Bottles are generally collected back here, cans, things of that nature need to be collected as dry waste. Two of the items that seem to cause the most problems are of course going to be straws and plastic disposable condiment cups. When the straws are left in the liquid and the liquid is poured out from the cups, these get poured out with the liquid and get disposed of in the wet waste. Same goes for the condiment cups. Typically they have condiments left in them and employees tend to want to put those in with the food waste. Both of these plastic items need to be disposed of with the dry waste. Even if there's a little bit left of the condiment in the condiment cup, it's okay. Just make sure that both items get disposed of in the dry waste container, not with food. The last place typically you're going to find waste being generated in a restaurant is going to be a bathroom. Here you want all your containers to be lined with black liners. The reason for this is that when it gets taken to the processing facility, that black bag is the key that it gets picked out as true trash and it gets diverted to the landfill. So the materials that are collected in the black bag are going to be collected along with materials that are collected in clear bags, and everything will go together still in that orange cart. The black bag is the indication that it'll be landfilled. The clear bag is the indication that it will be sent to the processing facility where all recyclables will be recovered from there. So you can see why this is extremely important when it comes to bathroom waste, making sure that the bathroom waste is collected in black bags. Everything does go to the recycling facility, and we don't want any bathroom waste to be in clear bags or loose. We want to make sure that that bathroom waste is contained in a black bag, so at the recycling facility, the employees can sort that as actual true trash and send it to the landfill without opening those black bags and contaminating the line and also posing a hazard to themselves. One of the biggest questions we seem to get is, when we get really, really busy, does this program really matter? And the answer is yes. It's when it's the most important. Just think, the times that you're the busiest, the most materials are getting produced from your restaurant. We want to be able to recover as many of those materials as possible to divert those materials from going to the landfill. So your busiest time, pay attention to what you're generating, because you'll see there's a lot more being produced and a lot more that we can recover. The most important message from today is I want to stress to you that you should take pride in your participation in this innovative recycling program. You are helping Louisville lead the way to being a more sustainable and greener community. You are drawing businesses, you are drawing patrons, you are helping us divert materials from our landfill. You are having other cities look at what you are doing and your participation in making us a greener community. So if you have any questions about the wet dry recycling program or want to try to get another restaurant on board, please reach out to us at 574-4620.